I reckon what we got here is a good old-fashioned standoff. Who's gonna blink first? Now, we've all heard all the rumors about forward-facing sonar, who's going to ban what, when, where, how, and why. But as of this moment, that's all they are, is rumors. First, we have Mr. Half-Truth from the last video out here proclaiming that BFLs have already done it.
Well, the news now appears that they're going to ban forward-facing sonar in the BFLs.
Then we've got Big Jim talking about MLF.
Major League Fishing going to ban forward-facing sonar?
And even Mark Fisher talking about bass.
The rumors from Bass. But
there's even some interesting mumblings coming out of the MPFL. And up until this point, everything's been put on the table for discussion. Certain tournament organizations talking about splitting up their schedule and only allowing it on certain lakes. Others talking about only allowing it during certain periods of play. Others saying they're going to ban it in their minor league systems only. And even others talking about just reducing the transducers to one in the boat. Now, real quick before we get too far into this, please stay tuned to the end of the video. There's an important channel update you're going to want to see. Now, back on subject. What does all this really mean? Well, first off, it's not a standoff to see what has to happen about forward-facing sonar, because the viewership numbers are not nearly as bad as some people would want you to believe. Besides, if viewership numbers were really an issue, there's already been a nice workaround that's been pitched to Bass, and it's extremely viable. The standoff now is really to see who, if anyone, will take the bullet for the very vocal minority, those that want to do away with forward-facing sonar. They're the loudest because they're having to yell louder than all the voices of the majority. That's what we're dealing with. To go through all the scenarios, we need to use facts and play a little game of what happens if. First, I think we can all agree that there's three major tournament organizations at play here. Bass, MLF, and in a distant third, the MPFL. The math is simple, and it's all based around who, if anyone, blinks first. If any of the big three decide to ban forward-facing sonar at any level of their organization, they're going to both win and lose. First, if anyone chooses to ban forward-facing sonar, they might get some sponsorship money back from some of these bait companies who feel like they've been hurt by the forward-facing sonar technology. They also stand to gain anglers from the other two organizations who are anti-forward-facing sonar. And there's the rub. Generally speaking, these anglers are going to be older, so instead of contributing to the longevity of the organization, they're actually pushing it to get older. Now, whoever bans forward-facing sonar, what do they stand to lose? Well, for starters, their youth. They're going to immediately replenish the other remaining organizations with their youth. So all those older anglers that defected to them, well, they're going to swap them with youth. Plus, they're going to lose out on these possible sponsorship dollars from any of the top forward-facing sonar companies. In a recent conversation with Dave Mercer, he dropped this little gem, and he couldn't be more right. In the history of mankind, youth is undefeated. Now, if it isn't already obvious as to why this is so important, let's look at what happens if two organizations make a move to ban forward-facing sonar. First, all the same rules apply. The banning organizations will give up their youth and any forward-facing sonar money. Then they have to split what older anglers will defect from the other organization and any bait money that may come attached. Now, this situation is the most untenable of all of them. Why? Because they've given up the most for the least amount of return. This will most likely lead to the two organizations eventually having to merge, therefore absorbing millions of dollars in debt. This will only be a band-aid, though, as they will eventually bleed enough money to die on the vine, leaving the one who kept forward-facing sonar to be the last man standing. So at the end of the day, don't believe all the hype. This is not a race to keep viewership or to find out who's going to make a groundbreaking decision. It's a race to find out who's going to make the dumbest decision first, and then who gets left to survive to pick all the bones clean. Now, there's another channel out there, we all know who he is, who has made tens of thousands of dollars off of your clicks and views just by getting everybody riled up about forward-facing sonar. Now, if one of the organizations moves through even a partial ban, is he going to get a big jolly out of it and claim victory? Of course. But at the end of the day, I think he's too delusional to even know what the hell he's saying. When it boils down to it, we're all just spectators. Now, as to that channel news I alluded to earlier on in the show, I've created a new email address that I want to share with you guys. It's a way for you guys to send me news tips on stories you want me to cover. Local, national, whatever. If you've got a little bit of evidence, include it. I'll get to as many of them as I can. It's a great way for you guys to participate in this whole thing we've created here. You can reach me at cerebraltacklenewstips@gmail.com. Please do me a favor. On the way out the door, like, comment, share, subscribe, and you know what I'm going to say. Until next time we meet, get out there on the water and keep it wet.